Hello y buenos dias y bienvenue. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to D4. This is the show where each week we take a deep dive into one, sometimes two, specific character builds for Dungeons & Dragons. We theorycraft about them, we crunch numbers about them, not with the intent to tell you the right way or the best way to play a particular character, but to explore one potential way to build and play a character in the hopes of creating something that is both really fun, but also powerful to play in-game. So if you enjoy creating characters for D&D almost as much as you enjoy playing the game itself, or if you're just looking for tips or ideas on how to build a particular character you're thinking about playing, then welcome home. This is where you belong. I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for being here. And my name's Colby. I'll be your host. Really quick, before we get started, if you would be interested in getting a write-up, a cheat sheet, a step-by-step guide on how to recreate this character yourself, then I would appreciate it if you would consider joining the channel as a member. There should be a little button down there. $2 a month gets you access to the library of write-ups that I've done for all of my builds, most of my builds. Some of the old ones I still haven't gotten to yet. But anyway, it'll just save you time from having to go back and rewatch the video or take notes. And maybe more importantly, for a lot of you, I know it's just a nice way to support the channel, help me create more and better content. Huge shout out and thanks to my channel members. And also, if you're not interested or able in joining the channel as a member, that's okay. Just being here and watching and subscribing and liking are all also great ways to support the channel. So thank you as well. So, longtime viewers of this channel know that one of my favorite things to do with character builds is to come up with like a theme or a concept for a character and then try to optimize the character around that theme or concept. Oftentimes with some self-imposed restrictions in place that we just give ourselves in order to kind of stay true to the character. First one like that I ever did was this sorcerer with the magic touch, which was a character who could only do damage with spells that had a range of touch, right? Or there was the Pokemon trainer who could only do damage via their summoned creatures. Or my favorite, actually, I think, the Thornlock, who only did damage as a result of getting hit by enemies. Now, I've only done one support character build like this. It was the Martyr, or the Mom, who healed but could only heal via the life transference spell. And that was actually a lot of fun. But I've had this idea for the character that I want to do today tumbling around in my brain for a really, really long time. It's another kind of artificially restrict myself in the name of character concept support character. And I've decided to see if I couldn't bring it to fruition this week. And it's kind of all based around the invisibility spell. Invisibility is a really cool and useful spell. It takes an action to cast, and so long as you maintain concentration, you remain invisible for up to an entire hour. As a reminder, when you're invisible, you can't be seen. Unless, of course, the enemy has some magical or special way to see invisible creatures, right? Otherwise, you're heavily obscured for the purpose of hiding, your attacks have advantage, and attacks against you have disadvantage. And I've long been thinking that it would be really fun to build a character who turns themselves invisible and then just kind of does everything that they possibly can to still be useful on the battlefield. But of course, that limits us, right? Because first of all, invisibility requires concentration, so we can't concentrate on anything else. But then, maybe more challenging, the spell ends if you attack or cast a spell. This does severely limit what we can do in combat. But if you think about it, there are still plenty of things that you can do that don't constitute attacking or casting a spell. My favorite ones, and the ones that I'm going to be focusing on for the purpose of the build today, tend to be support features. Healing your wounded allies, buffing or strengthening your allies, debuffing or weakening your enemies, and just doing other things to make life for your companions easier and better. So that's what we're going to do with the build today. Try to create the ultimate stealthy support, or cowardly healer, or how about episode 106, The Invisible Helper. Huge thanks to my friend Randall Hampton for this fantastic artwork that he's created for the character concept, which I sent to him. He does this for me every single week, and I just love what he comes up with. I know you guys do too. If you're interested in following Randall to see what else he creates, and or potentially reaching out to him to try and commission him to create some art for your character or even your party, I will, as always, put links in the video description on how to do so. Thanks, Randall. Also, before we jump in, let me read you guys the description for this character concept. that the team over at dScryb has come up with, since once again they are the sponsor for the video this week. The warrior wears gleaming plate armor, adorned with angelic motifs, their face hidden by a great helm decorated with stylized feathered wings. On their right pauldron, a little humanoid with butterfly wings, a sprite, perches, and the knight carries a gilded kite shield on the left. They leave their mace with wing-like phalanges, slung as the battle begins, instead grasping their imperial pendant in a gauntleted fist. They speak in a raspy baritone, and the sprite takes flight. Then the armored knight vanishes in a flash of dazzling particles. Man, I missed these descriptions because they're always so fantastic, so on point, and this is no exception, of course. It has been a hot minute since I've had dScryb as a sponsor, but I'm super excited to have them back because, yes, for those who don't know, dScryb is a fantastic tool that lets players and DMs alike get professionally written descriptions of almost anything you can imagine wanting a description for in a game of D&D. Settings, characters, attacks, dialogue, spells, magic items, etc., etc. And if it hasn't already been written by the dScryb team, you can request that they create something for you, at least with the right subscription level. But even with a free account, you can get access to thousands and thousands of searchable descriptions in their massive library that is growing every day. They have grown so much over the last year or so, they now provide a lot more than just box text-like descriptions, including poetry and songs that you might want to throw into your game to add some really great flavor, amazing and gorgeous maps, some new ones that I actually am going to want to highlight for you guys soon. They've partnered with professional artists that you can commission to draw amazing artwork for your character, and much, much more. Like I've said, you can access a huge portion of their library for free with a free subscription, but if you upgrade your account, you can access pretty much everything they have to offer, and can also then, too, like I've said, submit a request for them to write a description for your own scene or character or magic item, etc., which is what I do all the time. Speaking of, I actually wanted to tell you guys about dScryb's August giveaway, which still has a couple days left at the time of the airing of this video, so it's not too late. You can enter the contest in a number of ways, basically by following them on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And then at the end of the month, they're going to pick one lucky follower and give them a hard copy of the brand new Spelljammer book, out today actually when I'm recording this. And then 2 annual player subscriptions, which gives you access to just about anything you could want from their library as a player. And 1 annual hero subscription, which gives you access to everything dScryb has to offer. That's over $180 worth of stuff right there. So head over to dScryb.com/August-2022-giveaway. Right here, I'll put it in the video description, of course. Enter to win. Otherwise, if you just want to check them out, go to dScryb.com/D4. That's how they know I sent you. And if you do decide to purchase a subscription, use the code D4 at checkout and you'll get 10% off. Big thanks to dScryb. Love you guys, and let's jump into the build. All right, at level 1, we are going to be doing some multiclassing with this character, as usual, but the place we're going to start is with Paladin. I'm going to end up with quite a few levels of Paladin here, but the main reason I wanted to start Paladin is for the heavy armor proficiency that we don't get if we multiclass into them later. Now, this character will already be pretty durable simply thanks to the fact that I hope to be invisible basically all of the time, thus giving enemies a disadvantage to hit you, right? But giving them disadvantage to hit you and having a really nice armor class is just going to make you that much more durable, and I really like that. The whole point of this character, really, in a way, aside from the theme and the story element, is to be a support character that's really hard to kill. So yeah, let's be even harder to kill with some plate armor eventually. Thus, when we first meet our character, they are training to be a paladin, or maybe have just completed their training, I suppose, to be a paladin. Now, this particular paladin, I think, might be slightly less devoted to a particular religion or deity, at least at this point in their career. For me, I think they would probably be more sworn to an ideal, like justice or order, or they might even simply be sworn to protect and defend a sovereign, or whatever other political hierarchy is established in the place where you live. But they're perhaps a little less interested in defending and protecting via their martial prowess, and a little more in their ability to be like a human shield, to be able to take a hit and keep on ticking, while also being skilled in the arts of healing, both divine and mundane. They might even be training, I think, to be some sort of Secret Service agent, eventually capable of supporting and maintaining their leader without even being seen. Perhaps even doing so as to prop up the illusion to the masses that your leader is virtually unkillable, so as to deter assassins from even attempting an assassination in the first place. I like that idea. Now, as for our race, there are a lot of options that I considered going for race here. I, of course, love the variant human or custom lineage route because there is a feat that is really important to this build, and I'd love to start off with it at level 1. I also considered a Dragonborn, since their breath weapon is technically not making an attack or casting a spell, and thus could be used while invisible. And that's super cool, especially if you wanted to maybe take this character in a slightly more offensive route. But ultimately, I decided to go with Hobgoblin. As many of you know, Hobgoblins were updated with the recent Monsters of the Multiverse book, Mom, and among other things, they get the really cool Fey Gift ability, which tells us that proficiency bonus times per day, we can take the help action as a bonus action. And since taking the help action is neither making an attack or casting a spell, it seemed like a perfect use of our bonus action, even if we only have limited uses of it. And yes, I know, Mastermind Rogues can do this with their bonus action all of the time, but I didn't want to invest the levels into Rogue nor the ability points into Dexterity in order to get there on this character. So yeah, we're going Hobgoblin. The truth is, my vision for this character would be to take the help action with our action quite often, since, again, that's something you can do without breaking invisibility, and it's actually not a terrible thing to do with your action, like especially if you have a character in your party who hits really hard but doesn't otherwise have a reliable source of advantage. So yeah, quick reminder, when you take the help action, you can either choose to help an ally on their next ability check and thereby give them advantage, or give an ally advantage on an attack against an enemy that's within 5 feet of you, as you distract the enemy or make a feint against them or tickle their bum. Now, there's nothing in Fey Gift that says you couldn't take the help action as an action and then the help action as a bonus action with Fey Gift on the same turn. So now you have the potential to be super helpful right at level 1. The question that you're going to want to discuss with your DM, of course, is how help technically works at your table. Rules as written, it kind of wants you to say, I'm helping my friend Joe on their attack against this goblin right here that's within 5 feet of me. And then Joe would get advantage on their attack against that goblin. If you help Joe twice on the same turn against the same target, once with your action, once with your bonus action, it might not work for both attacks that Joe might have if he has extra attack later, right? In my experience, based on what I've seen at most other tables, most DMs just kind of let you declare which ally you're helping, and then that ally is going to have advantage on their next attack. I don't know if they're going to let you, take the help action twice and give them advantage on both of their attacks. That's a little dicier. You might need to kind of help 2 different allies or whatever. Talk it over with your DM. Make sure that you're clear on the logistics. One other thing. When you use your Fey Gift, you get to do one of 3 extra cool things with it. Hospitality, which gives you and the party member you're helping some temporary hit points, 1d6 plus your proficiency bonus. That's not bad, and I'm assuming that it's going to be the option that we'll probably make the most use of as a primary support character. But the passage option is also nice. It gives you both an extra 10 feet of move speed until your next turn. And the spite option might actually be my favorite. It says that the first time that the creature you help hits a target with an attack, that target has disadvantage on its next attack roll. And that might end up being worth more than some temporary hit points depending on how hard the enemy hits and how likely disadvantage will cause them to miss, etc., right? But definitely spite worth considering. As for our ability scores, I'm assuming we're going the point buy method as always, and I'm actually going to recommend going a 15 charisma, taking a +1 there, a 15 constitution and a +1 there, and a 15 strength and taking a +1 there. You don't have to go this route, of course. I really wanted to start with 3 16s, and we can do that now. Instead of taking a +2 and a +1, we can take 3 +1s, right? Doing so, of course, means that you would be dumping dexterity. Ow, my initiative. Charisma and wisdom. Ow, my perception and my ability to resist fear and charm, among other things. But charisma is our most important stat. Everybody wants a high constitution, and we actually will benefit from a high strength. Among other things, it means that we won't have, any move speed penalties when we wear heavy armor, and we can even make a weapon attack once in a while at a decent chance to hit if we decide it's worth it to break the invisibility, or if our enemies have a way to see through invisibility anyway, right? So yeah, that's what I'm doing. As for our starting equipment, I'm just going to go with standard stuff here. Take some chainmail, get a shield, and your favorite D8 weapon. We're not going to plan on making a lot of weapon attacks all that often through this character's career, but at least until we get invisibility, we probably will be attacking semi-regularly, right? As a paladin at level 1 then, we get Divine Sense first up, which tells us that charisma modifier times per day, we can use our action to sense undead, fiends, or celestials within 60 feet of us, not behind total cover. This is probably situationally useful at best, but hey, it'll be handy once in a while. But then we also get Lay on Hands, and this is actually one of the main reasons why I wanted to take Paladin levels in the first place. Because, you see, Lay on Hands is a really nice support and heal feature, but it's technically not casting a spell. So using it shouldn't break invisibility. With Lay on Hands, you get a number of points equal to your Paladin level, and then you can use any number of those points as an action and with a touch to heal an ally 1 hit point for every point you spend. Alternatively, you can spend 5 points to heal a poison or disease. Super useful, and it scales really nicely with Paladin levels. Unfortunately, it's not going to scale for us for a minute, because at level 2, we're taking levels in Warlock. Now that we have our Lay on Hands and Heavy Armor proficiency, I wanted to focus on another way to heal that isn't technically casting a spell. And yes, you guessed it, we're getting that via Warlock, similar to the way we did with the Support Barbarian from a few weeks ago, and I think that was my last card for the week already gone. Now, for what it's worth, I don't know that I would necessarily feel like I had to justify taking a multi-class dip into Warlock here. I would just make it part of like the custom character class that I've designed for this character. They are the Secret Service class, or the Hand of the Divine, or something like that. But in the D&D world, this means that they have some Paladin levels and some Warlock levels, and maybe some other levels later. Now, Paladins are already all about being righteous, right? So it doesn't feel too strange to me that at this point in our career we would have attracted the interest of an otherworldly being who is connected to the light and the heavens. I would, however, be interested to know how and when this patron approached you. Perhaps the order that you follow as a paladin has some sort of standing agreement with beings from the planes of everlasting bliss. Once they've completed their initial training, they are ready to bond with an angelic patron who will further their training in order to bring the cause of righteousness to the wicked world. I'm not sure what your reasons are, but whatever they are, yes, we're taking Warlock levels here. And yes, at Warlock level 1, we get our Warlock subclass, our otherworldly patron. And in case you haven't guessed yet, we are going with the Celestial patron, because doing so gives us the fantastic Healing Light feature, which tells us that we get a number of D6s equal to 1 plus our Warlock level that we can use as a bonus action to heal a creature that we can see within 60 feet of us. The maximum number of these dice that we can spend at any one time is equal to our charisma modifier, so that's 3 for now, though we only have 2 dice at the moment. We get this pool of D6s back when we finish a long rest. So now we already have 2 pretty nice non-spell heal options available to us, and the best part is one of them heals with an action, Lay on Hands, and the other with a bonus action, Healing Light. So we could potentially help with our action and then heal with a bonus action, or heal with an action and help with a bonus action thanks to Hobgoblin, or help and help, or heal and heal. Helping and healing all the day long. We also, as a Celestial Warlock, get bonus cantrips, the Light and the Sacred Flame cantrip, not bad. And then, of course, we do get spells as a Warlock at level 1. You know, throughout this character's career, I'm going to say that we should generally be focusing on taking spells that we can put to good use outside of combat. Since, yeah, casting spells is going to break invisibility, but I would say that we should probably grab Eldritch Blast here, since we're a Warlock, and it is a pretty decent ranged damage option, and we don't have invisibility yet anyway. Also, since we're a Celestial Warlock, we do get access to Cure Wounds here, which I'd take, and that's a nice pickup for yet another heal option. Aside from that, I'm probably grabbing Armor of Agathis since it's unique to Warlocks and it makes us even more durable, giving us 5 temporary hit points which last for an hour without requiring our concentration. And then if an enemy hits us in melee, which Seems unlikely, but it'll happen once in a while. They're going to take 5 cold damage in return, so long as we have at least one of those temporary hit points still on us. And the great thing about dealing damage in this way is that it's not attacking, it's not us casting a spell to deal the damage, so it shouldn't break our invisibility. Neato. At level 3, we would be a Warlock 2, and we get Eldritch Invocations. I love invocations. There are so many great options to choose from here, but I think I'm probably prioritizing Eldritch Mind above all, which would give us advantage on our concentration checks. And especially since we don't have proficiency in Constitution saving throws, that makes me feel a lot better about our ability to maintain our concentration on invisibility once we get it. As for your second invocation, I'm just going to say pick your favorite. Devil's Sight's always handy if you run into magical darkness. Agonizing Blast if you think you'll be using Eldritch Blast a lot at this level. We're probably going to be swapping it out next level regardless, because at level 4 we would be a Warlock 3, and first up we get second level spells. There's plenty of great options to choose from, of course. Lesser Restoration is available to us as a Celestial Warlock, and I definitely take that as a way to cure or heal some pretty nasty conditions: blinded, deafened, poisoned, or even paralyzed. I mean, Misty Step is always great and useful. Spider Climb could even be useful outside of combat, or Enthrall. One I actually really like here is Mirror Image. It makes 3 illusory duplicates of you that the enemy might hit if they're trying to hit you, but what if you cast that, doesn't require concentration, and then cast invisibility on yourself? I mean, it's expensive taking 2 spell slots, and I mean, I'm guessing that the images themselves wouldn't go invisible unless your DM decided they would. But I could see getting into some fun shenanigans where you have 3 images of yourself, but you are actually invisible. I don't know. Anyway, yes, the most important spell for us here is, of course, invisibility. I've already gone over the mechanics of the spell in the preamble, so I'm not going to repeat myself here, but needless to say, this is the point where our build all kind of comes together. And I think if it were me, I might make this point kind of a big deal in my character's career and story. Work it out with your DM, but maybe they've been training hard with their celestial patron, or they had to accomplish some great task, or discover an important truth about their order or about themselves, and as a reward, were granted the ability to now go unseen. Just in time for our Pact boon that we get at Warlock 3. And while I do think that Pact of the Tome and even Pact of the Talisman would actually both be potentially fun and useful on this character, since I'm trying to make like the ultimate invisible helper, I feel like I have to go with Pact of the Chain here, since that lets us cast the Wizard's Find Familiar spell as a ritual, but in addition to the usual familiars that we could summon with this spell, we can also summon an imp, a quasit, a sprite, or a pseudo-dragon, and all of those but the pseudo-dragon can turn invisible. And then, just like with any familiar, we can have them take the help action and move around without taking opportunity attacks since they can't be seen, and just generally cause mischief and give aid all day long. And I love the fact that we now potentially have like 2 invisible helpers on the battlefield. Potentially taking the help action up to 3 times now, right? 1 with our action, 1 with our bonus action, and then 1 from our familiar. We're like a walking fairy fire spell here. It's fantastic. One note, you can, when you take a level in Warlock, swap out one of your invocations, right? And I would consider doing that now with whatever you took for your second invocation at last level, to either pick up Gift of the Ever-Living Ones or Investment of the Chainmaster. Both have the prerequisite of the Pact of the Chain. Gift of the Ever-Living Ones lets you heal for the maximum amount when you roll dice to heal yourself, if your familiar is within 100 feet of you. Now, I'm hoping that this character isn't going to be taking a ton of damage, but you probably will be getting hit once in a while, and you're probably going to be subjected to area of effect spells and traps and other enemy area damage effects, right? So yeah, being able to patch yourself up as efficiently as possible will be nice. A dead healer heals for 0 hit points and helps no one. Remember. Investment of the Chainmaster, on the other hand, might be good if you wanted to be a little more offensively minded, I suppose. I don't think I would go this route on this character, but you might want to consider it. It gives you the option to have your familiar take the attack action with your bonus action, and this shouldn't break your invisibility because you're not making an attack. But of course it will break theirs if they do it, right? It also makes their attacks magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance or immunity to non-magical attacks. It lets them use your spell save DC if they have to make a saving throw, that's nice. And it lets you use your reaction to grant them resistance to damage if they take damage. So, even if you're not using your familiar to make attacks, it still has a couple of nice ways to give them some additional survivability, and that's worth considering. At level 5, we would be a Warlock 4, and we get our first ability score increase or feat. And though I would really love to bump my charisma right now, I think we have to take the healer feat first and foremost on this character. It's just a fantastic feat that's perfect for what we're trying to do. In case you need a reminder, the healer feat gives us a couple of really nice perks. First off, when you use a healer's kit to stabilize a dying creature, they also regain 1 hit point.
In case you need a reminder about healer's kits,
anyone can use them if they don't have this feat, but it basically just lets you stabilize a dying creature with an action so they no longer have to make death saving throws.
As an aside, anyone can try to stabilize a creature without a healer's kit. You just have to make a successful DC 10 medicine check.
Anyway, being able to heal 1 hit point when we use the healer's kit here is fantastic because usually if you just stabilize an ally, they remain unconscious for 1d4 hours. Giving them even just 1 little hit point means that they're back on their feet and back in the fight. And there's no limit to how often they can benefit from this aspect of the feature, regaining 1 hit point when they're unconscious. So as long as you have a healer's kit, you can always just keep bouncing your allies back up from being unconscious, even if you're out of lay on hands points or your healing light d6s, right? But arguably, the best part about the healer feat is that you can also, with an action and a use of the healer's kit, heal a creature for 1d6 plus 4 plus their character level in hit points. And that's a pretty efficient heal, honestly, and scales nicely as you gain levels. Just keep in mind that a creature can only benefit from healing in this way once per short rest. So yeah, now we have a couple more ways to heal without breaking our invisibility because it's not attacking, it's not casting a spell. Just make sure to have lots of healer's kits on hand at all times. And they're not too expensive. 5 gold gives you a healer's kit and each one has 10 uses. At level 6, we would be a warlock 5 and we get 3rd level spells, first of all. Lots of great 3rd level warlock spells, but few that I would plan on using in combat regularly because, again, don't want to break invisibility. Revivify is available to us as a celestial warlock, and that feels like a no-brainer. Getting this spell is kind of my main reason for pressing on to warlock level 5, because if you're a support character, it feels kind of imperative that you have a way to bring back the dead, yeah? But in addition, I think it would be wise to take counterspell and or dispel magic. Sometimes breaking your invisibility is going to be worth it if you can stop a really nasty spell or dispel a nasty spell effect. Other than that, fly is always handy, of course, even outside of combat, maybe more often than inside of combat. Remove curse is a great support spell to have. Tongues could provide some nice utility if you really need to communicate with someone who doesn't speak any of your languages. But we also, at Warlock 5, get a 3rd invocation. And while there are plenty of good ones to choose from, I think the one that I would take here is probably Cloak of Flies. I've used this in a couple of builds in the past. It's really just a favorite invocation of mine. As a bonus action, you can surround yourself with a magical aura. It lasts until you dismiss it. Now, it's supposed to look like buzzing flies, but I don't know why you couldn't flavor it as like radiant mist or something that's kind of hovering about you with this character. Regardless, the aura extends 5 feet from you, and then any creature who starts their turn within the aura's range takes poison damage equal to your charisma modifier. No roll, no save, they just take the damage. It's not a ton, but I mean, sometimes it might be the difference between an enemy getting another turn or not, right? And what's great about it, of course, is that the damage is done without you making an attack or casting a spell, so it shouldn't break invisibility. It's just a nice little way to add a little offense to your otherwise suite of support tools. The one potential problem, of course, is that you deal this damage to any creature, friend and foe alike, and a lot of your healing abilities, lay on hands and using a healer's kit, for example, require you to touch your target. That said, the damage from Cloak of Flies is only done if the creature starts their turn within 5 feet of you. So you could heal them and simply step away. Again, not typically risking an opportunity attack from an enemy who might otherwise get one that's standing next to your ally or something, right? Because they likely can't see you, and you have to be able to see your enemy in order to get an opportunity attack against them. Still, I would use this invocation with caution. There might be times where you just don't have the move speed to heal an ally and step away, or you might be in a really crowded space while fighting, etc. I think it'd be a fun way to do a little extra damage while invisible, just kind of flitting around the battlefield and hurting people without them really knowing why they're being harmed, right? But it's by no means a must-have or a no-brainer. Now, at level 6, for most builds we do a damage report, but since I don't have a great way to crunch numbers for support characters, I instead like to do what we call a tactics report, to just talk about all of the ways that we currently have to support our party. For us, it's mostly coming in the form of healing and helping. We can heal with our Healer's Kit for some significant HP, as well as Lay on Hands and Healing Light. We also have the Cure Wounds spell, of course, if we are willing to break invisibility, or if we have a spell slot and we want to use it right before taking a short rest or something, right? Additionally, if we're not going to heal, we can help with our action. We can help with our bonus action 3 times per day currently at least, but we also get some nice additional features when we do that as a hobgoblin, and help with our familiar. We can do all of the above while remaining safely invisible to our enemies, which just feels so fun and maybe a little dastardly, I think, from the DM's perspective anyway. What's more, we are bringing some nice support and utility outside of combat as well, being able to raise our friends from the dead, cure a bunch of bad conditions, etc., etc. We're a pretty solid support character at the moment, and it's just going to get better as we go. Now, at level 7, we kind of need to make a decision. Because, see, on the one hand, we could keep going with Warlock. I don't love the offensive ability that Celestial Warlocks get for this particular character, but if for no other reason at Warlock 7 we'd get 4th level spells, and that means greater invisibility, or Shadow of Moil, I guess, too. And then we could make attacks and cast spells without breaking invisibility, right? No brainer. But I mean, the whole point of this character, for me, was to figure out how to be an effective support character without needing to cast spells or make attacks. If I were building around being able to do those things while still remaining invisible, due to the advantage that it would grant us on attacks, things like that, then it becomes like a completely different build, right? And for that matter, I've kind of gone for that tactic a few times on a few different builds. The original Hexblade Warlock episode 1 that I did, the ranged Bard character, the Bard Locker, I think I called that one. The Yin Yang team up build, the Lockeden Bard. So yeah, no. I'm going to stick with the theme and the concept of this character here and not worry about greater invisibility because I don't need it. Instead, now that we've got Revivify and some other nice 3rd level spell options, as well as some good invocations and a decent handful of Healing Light D6s, I think it's time to go back to Paladin so we can scale our Lay on Hands pool and pick up some other really nice utility and support features. So yes, we would be a Paladin too, and that means we get Paladin spells. As usual, I'm going to be looking here to pick up spells that provide some utility and or support, mostly outside of combat, so things like Ceremony or Purify Food and Drink, etc. I also probably would pick up Bless here to use with your concentration for those times that you're going up against enemies who can see through your invisibility, as Bless is just a fantastic buff that's good throughout the entire career of any character, giving multiple party members an additional d4 to all of their attacks and saving throws. We do get a fighting style here at Paladin too as well, and I'm probably going to be bypassing on the weapon-focused fighting styles and instead choose either Interception or Defense. Interception is a favorite of mine for support type characters because it lets you reduce the damage dealt to an ally by a d10 plus your proficiency bonus using your shield and your reaction. And that's a pretty decent little damage reduction. The problem, of course, is that you have to be within 5 feet of your ally in order to do this. And so if you've got Cloak of Flies going, it's kind of gonna partially negate any damage you're absorbing with your interception, right? So if you're using Cloak of Flies, I'm probably just going to go with the defense fighting style to give you an extra +1 to your armor class, making you that much harder to hit, and that's fun too. But best of all, at Paladin 2, we get Divine Smite, and that's kind of the reason that I wanted to go Paladin in the first place. If you had $1 for every time you heard that in one of my builds, you'd have like tens of dollars. Yeah, this is one of the rare instances where I don't really care that much about Divine Smite on my Paladin, right? Now, of course, the reality is, if you do really want to make a weapon attack in a dire situation, maybe you can tell that the enemy's about to die and their turn is right after yours, and if they get to go again, it could be devastating for your party or something, then yeah, at least on that one weapon attack that you make, you should have advantage since you're invisible. And that means you've got a decent chance to hit, and so yeah, go ahead and pour a Divine Smite into that hit. Especially if you crit, right? Adding a 2d8 of damage plus an extra 1d8 more for every spell slot you spend on that Divine Smite above the first level. Yeah, it'll break invisibility, but there might be times when it's worth it. And for that matter, again, I'm sure you're going to occasionally be running into enemies with True Sight or whatever, in which case, throw down Bless and make an occasional weapon attack and pour a Smite in there when you're not helping and healing, you know? Having that versatility will, among other things, help this character from getting stale and boring, so that's always nice. At level 8, we would be a Paladin 3, and we get our Paladin subclass, our Sacred Oath. Now, I have some mixed feelings about which oath to take on this character, to be honest. I think I have like two top recommendations. If you're going to take this character to Paladin 7, at least, I think I'm probably going Oath of the Ancients here. Their level 7 feature is just really fantastic, giving you and allies within 10 feet resistance to all spell damage. It's kind of hard to overestimate how powerful that can be, especially for you, who's already hard to hit with attacks but potentially vulnerable to area of effect spell damage, for example, yeah? That said, I am not planning on taking this character to Paladin 7, and as a result, I think I'm going to go with the Oath of the Crown. First paladin I ever played in D&D was an Oath of the Crown pally, and I loved him so much. So let's read what Wizards of the Coast has to say about the Oath of the Crown. The Oath of the Crown is sworn to the ideals of civilization, be it the spirit of a nation, fealty to a sovereign, or service to a deity of law and rulership. The paladins who swear this oath dedicate themselves to serving society and, in particular, the just laws that hold society together. These paladins are the watchful guardians on the walls, standing against the chaotic tides of barbarism that threaten to tear down all that civilization has built, and are commonly known as guardians, exemplars, or sentinels. Often, paladins who swear this oath are members of an order of knighthood in service to a nation or a sovereign, and undergo their oath as part of their admission to the order's ranks. What's funny about this oath is that of all the paladin oaths, it's kind of the one that's like the least religious, right? And yet, we ended up going with Celestial Warlock. In a potentially interesting twist then, actually, I can see like the story of this character almost playing out like the character doesn't get religion until they take Warlock levels. Which is, I don't know, kind of fun, kind of interesting. So, at level 3, as a paladin, we get Channel Divinity, which can be used once per short rest to do one of 3 things. Harness Divine Power, all paladins get, and it lets us use our Channel Divinity once per day to recover a spell slot of a level no higher than half your proficiency bonus rounded up. But as an Oath of the Crown paladin, we get 2 other uses for our Channel Divinity. Champion Challenge, which frankly has a way better description than an actual mechanical benefit. We're told, you issue a challenge that compels others to do battle with you. Whoa, that sounds amazing, like a big area of effect group taunt, yeah? Perfect for tanking. But then we read that in practice, all this means is that all creatures of your choice within 30 feet who fail a wisdom save can't move more than 30 feet away from you. Talk about overpromising and underdelivering. I'm sure this might be useful once in a while to keep creatures from running away who you really need to talk to because you're not violent. You wouldn't be using this to just try and eke out every last drop of XP from the combat encounter, you godless heathen. We also, of course, get Turn the Tide as an option for our Channel Divinity, and this is the main reason I wanted to go Oath of the Crown, actually. Because it's yet another decent healing ability that we can use without breaking invisibility, since it's not a spell. With Turn the Tide, each creature of your choice within 30 feet that can hear you, note, seeing you is not required, regains hit points equal to 1d6 plus your charisma modifier, if it has no more than half of its hit points. And I really hate that last little qualifier. I mean, 1d6 plus, 3 at the moment? Once per short rest? That's like 7 hit points on average. Is that so overpowered that we had to limit it to characters who had no more than half their health? Ugh. Come on, Blizzard. Come on, Wizards. Oh well. It's still a pretty nice little group heal to use once in a while, especially if you have multiple party members that are below half health, right? Just be sure to use this before your other heals, so you don't inadvertently heal someone up to above half health and then they don't get to benefit from this, right? At level 9, we would be a Paladin 4 and we get another ability score increase or feat. And yeah, I think we got to bump Charisma here, taking it to an 18. It makes many of our spells, when we use them, more effective. Gives us a little more capacity for a bigger heal with Healing Light when we need it. It improves our Turn the Tide a little bit, as well as the damage from Cloak of Flies if you're using that. Maybe even more importantly than all of that, it's going to be really important for us later on in this build. So yeah, I think it trumps anything else that we might want to do with this ASI or feat, like take the Inspiring Leader feat, for example, which isn't a bad choice. For our level 9 tactics report then, since last check, we've increased our Lay on Hands pool, picked up another heal via Channel Divinity, and gained a little more support and utility via some more paladin spells, as well as increased our charisma to make just about everything we do a little better. Our allies love us, even though they can't see us. And you know what, actually, it might be really fun or funny to lean into that in the game. Like, every time a fight breaks out, the first thing you do is just vanish. And your companions are always like, that son of a always talks a big game, but at the first sign of danger, poof, gone. Every bloody time. Not realizing that you're like working to patch them up and distract their enemies the whole time, maybe thinking that there's some magical spirit that's following them around that's not you, just making life better and easier for everyone, or that they're just incredibly lucky for some reason. It could be really fun and funny to lean into. At level 10, we would be a Paladin 5, and we get second level Paladin spells, first of all. Again, focusing on non-concentration and like out of combat support and utility options, I'd say our best spells are Aid, which raises the maximum hit points for multiple party members and lasts 8 hours without concentration. Very nice, and it scales swimmingly. Find Steed, of course. This is one that I'd be using in combat. It's that quintessential pally spell that you should never leave home without, especially since when you're mounted on your found steed, any spell that targets only you, like, say, I don't know, invisibility, also targets your mount. So if nothing else, Find Steed is going to give you a really nice move speed buff to help you get around the battlefield to heal and help the right person at the right time. And your mount can stay pretty safe all the while. Zone of Truth is like really nice for those interrogation scenes, right? Locate object, really great in a pinch when your party is on the hunt for an item of great import. But we also, at Paladin 5, get extra attack, that all-important feature, which we won't really plan on using very much. Again, there will be times when you do need to be making an attack for whatever reason, and so being able to make 2 is better than being able to make 1. No complaints. At level 11, we would be a Paladin 6, and this is the main reason we wanted to stay with Paladin for as long as we have, because we get Aura of Protection, and it's just so dang good that I would have beelined to Paladin 6 if not for the fact that the whole point of this character was to build around the invisibility spell. So yes, Aura of Protection means we get to add our Charisma modifier to the saving throws of ourselves and any allies within 10 feet of us. And that works whether you are invisible or not, and is just such a fantastic buff. It's the main reason I wanted to bump my Charisma earlier. Your friends are just going to love you so much for this ability. But at level 12, you could just totally stick with Paladin. Again, if you want to, I would probably have gone with Oath of the Ancients for their really fantastic level 7 feature, but more and better spells are another reason to stay with Paladin. More lay on hands points are nice. There are plenty of reasons to stay the course here, but now that we're level 6, I feel like we've kind of got the best Paladin features, and my eyes are wandering to other classes for other things that we could potentially do to help our allies without breaking invisibility. And of course, I'm thinking about Bardic Inspiration, right? Right. So yes, for me, right now, I'm going to start taking Bard levels. And if you need a good excuse for why you're doing so with this character, then let's just say that your patron is teaching you not only to share the light with the rest of the world, but is also teaching you about the very powers of creation themselves. Spoiler alert. As a bard, level 1, we get Bardic Inspiration, that quintessential bardic ability that lets you Charisma modifier times per day, another reason I wanted to bump Charisma before, and with your bonus action, choose one creature within 60 feet who again can hear you, they don't need to see you, and inspire them, giving them a d6 that they can use within the next 10 minutes to add to an ability check, an attack roll, or a saving throw. And I absolutely love the image of this invisible helper who's now running around the battlefield, shouting out like words of encouragement, or even singing a rousing and inspiring ballad, all while evading the enemy's best attempts to shut them up. Where is that blasted singing coming from? Shut it up! Ah! We also, at Bard 1, get spells, of course, and Bards have such a fantastic spell list if you're looking for utility and support options. For cantrips, I would especially consider Friends, Message, Prestidigitation, and Vicious Mockery, even if I'm not planning on using it that much in combat because I'm a Bard and I just love this cantrip. For first level spells, it might be Charm Person, Comprehend Languages, Disguise Self, Featherfall, Identify. The list goes on, and there's so many good ones to choose from. Have fun with them. At level 13, we would be a Bard 2. And we get Jack of all trades, first up, which lets you add half of your proficiency bonus rounded down to any ability check you make that doesn't already include your proficiency bonus. Including, yes, an initiative roll, as that is an ability check. Jack of all trades rules. We also get Song of Rest at this level, and this is just another nice little way to help your party heal, letting you add a d6 of healing to any party member who uses hit dice to recover hit points during a short rest, as you regale them with a soothing song or story. For our level 13 tactics report then, since last check, we've added all sorts of great utility via Bard and Paladin spells, increased our Lay on Hands pool, added the impossible to overestimate aura of protection, some additional healing with Song of Rest, and yes, even the ability to inspire our allies via Bardic Inspiration when we're not doing something else with our bonus action like helping or healing. We are truly living our best invisible helper life right now. But it gets even better, because at level 14, we would be a Bard 3, and we get lots of stuff. We get Expertise. It's fantastic. It lets you double your proficiency bonus in 2 skills that you're already proficient in. I think if I were playing this character, I'd probably want to be like the party face. And in that light, I might take like Persuasion and Deception or Intimidation here. But Perception, of course, is always handy, always useful. Athletics wouldn't be a bad choice. Maybe even Stealth if you're trying to hide while you're invisible a lot of the time. Just, do what feels best for you and your party. But we also, at Bard 3, get our Bard College, our Bard subclass. And we, I am happy to announce, are going to go with the College of Creation. And yeah, I have yet to do Creation Bard in any build that I've done to date, and I know that they deserve a more dedicated build, and I plan on doing that one day. But for now, I'm super excited about adding this subclass to this character. So let's read what Wizards of the Coast has to say about them. Bards believe the cosmos is a work of art, the creation of the first dragons and gods. That creative work included harmonies that continue to resound through existence today, a power known as the Song of Creation. The bards of the College of Creation draw on that primeval song through dance, music, and poetry, and their teachers share this lesson. Before the sun and the moon, there was the song, and its music awoke the first dawn. Its melodies so delighted the stones and trees that some of them gained a voice of their own, and now they sing too. Learn the song, students, and you too can teach the mountains to sing and dance. Okay, huge kudos to whoever over at Wizards of the Coast wrote the description for Creation Bards, because that is, it's one of my favorites of all subclasses, and I think it just adds so much flavor to this character. So, as a Bard of Creation, you get a couple of awesome features. First up, Mote of Potential, and this is just the juiciest and most delicious feature. When you give Bardic Inspiration, it creates a mote of potential that orbits your ally's head in the shape of like a note or a flower or something. I love it to death. But then, when your ally uses the Bardic Inspiration, it does something extra depending on what they use it for. If they use it for an ability check, they get to roll the inspiration die twice and take the higher roll. If they use it for an attack and hit an enemy, the enemy they hit and each creature within 5 feet of our choice has to make a Constitution saving throw, or they take thunder damage equal to that Bardic Inspiration roll. Nice little bonus damage and a little area of effect even. And if they use it for a saving throw, then they get to add temporary hit points equal to the roll plus your charisma modifier. That's amazing. But it gets better, because we also get Performance of Creation. And this tells us that once per day, or with a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, we can create a medium or smaller non-magical object of our choice that lasts for a number of hours equal to our proficiency bonus. This thing that we create can't have a value of more than 20 times your bard level in gold, and it has to be created in an unoccupied space on a surface or liquid that can support it. So no creating cages around your enemies or conjuring anvils in midair that then drop on them, unfortunately. And I don't want to spend a lot of time here getting into all of the amazing and crazy things you might be able to do with this ability. Create a door or a gate to block off enemies in a hallway during a fight, for example. But let's just say that you're pretty much just limited by your imagination here. And actually, I would really love to know what like the craziest or awesomest things that you've seen a Creation Bard at your table do with this ability. Please let me know. We also here get 2nd level Bard spells, and there are just, again, so many good ones to choose from, even for those who aren't looking for spells to use in combat necessarily. Detect Magic, Knock, Enhance Ability, Borrowed Knowledge. Pick your favorites. At level 15, we would be a Bard 4, and we get another ability score increase or feat, and again, just about everything we do right now benefits from a higher charisma, so yeah, I'm going to cap charisma at 20 here. I think it's a no-brainer, and I'm just kind of sad that it took us this long to get there. At level 15, we would be a Bard 5, and first up, our Bardic Inspiration die jumps up to a D8, so that's great, just makes our inspiration that much better, but more importantly, we get Font of Inspiration, giving us the ability to use our Bardic Inspiration so much more frequently, because now we get all of our uses of Bardic Inspiration back on a short rest instead of a long one. Now between our 5 charisma and getting them back on a short rest, we're just constantly inspiring the world, in between all of the helping and healing that you're doing, of course. And we also get 3rd level Bard spells here. And yeah, the list of good and useful spells just goes on and on at 3rd level. Catnap, Tiny Hut, Motivational Speech, Glyph of Warding. You are seriously like a Swiss Army knife of utility and support at this point. But finally, for us, at level 17, we would be a Bard 6. And that means 2 things. 1, we get Counter Charm, and okay, this ability isn't the greatest, but hey, at least it doesn't break invisibility. With Counter Charm, as an action, you start a performance that lasts until your next turn, and then any ally that can hear you, not see you, will have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or feared. Okay, it'll be handy once in a while. But also, as a Creation Bard, we get Animating Performance, and this was kind of the feature that sealed the deal for me on both going Creation Bard and also taking Bard to 6 instead of Paladin to 7 by the time we got to level 17. Animating Performance is just perfect for us. First of all, let me mention, before I forget, the object that we create with Performance of Creation can be large size or smaller now, not just medium size, and that really opens the door for us to more shenanigans. But yes, with Animating Performance, once per day or with a 3rd level spell slot or higher. And remember, we have 2 3rd level Warlock spell slots, in addition to the spell slots we have from multi-classing with Paladin and Bard here. And we will have 5th level spell slots right now, 6 levels of Bard, 6 levels of Paladin. So a 5th level spell slot, some 4th level spell slots. We've got a lot of spell slots. Anyway, with Animating Performance, you can use your action to magically animate an object that is large size or smaller. This is not casting a spell, so your invisibility is intact. Thereafter, you can use a bonus action to command this thing that you've animated to do stuff, like attack, for example, if you want, or take the help action. It has a decent stat block, the best part of which is the Irresistible Dance feature, and this lets them increase or decrease your choice the walking speed of any creature who starts their turn within 10 feet of it, no saving throw. And I seriously cannot get enough of the image of your enemies who really want to just charge you, but they're being slowed down by the fact that they just have this little jaunt in their step that cannot be stopped. Best of all, when you give Bardic Inspiration with your bonus action and you have this dancing item animated, you can also, with that same bonus action, command the dancing item to do something. And this is just a really nice way to either add some potential extra damage or get another help action with the bonus action, especially if you're out of your Hobgoblin Fate Gift uses, right? As well as get a nice little AoE move speed buff and debuff. Not to mention just putting another potential target out there on the battlefield that your enemies might attack, but that's okay, because that's keeping your allies safe, right? This feature was just too much fun and too delicious to pass on. And so, for our final tactics report then, we've again just added a world of utility since last time we checked. Not to mention a more powerful inspiration, more uses of our inspiration, a capped charisma score that benefits us and our party in a myriad of ways, and a really wonderful dancing item for a little more damage or a more reliable bonus action help, as well as a buff and a debuff. We are the all-singing, all-dancing crap of the world. And so, let's quickly go over final thoughts. You guys, I'm not gonna lie, this is my favorite support character that I have built to date. It might not necessarily be the most powerful. I think that title might still be held by the Twilight Cleric Star Druid healer that I did over a year ago now. That's mostly because Twilight Clerics are OP. But if we're talking just pure flavor and fun, I think this one takes the cake. I mean, you just bring so much to the table, helping, healing, buffing, debuffing, little damage, a world of utility, all while getting to be invisible the entire time. The story and the shenanigans that you could get into with this character just feel so flavorful and fun and potentially hilarious. I think it's risen to the top of the characters that I want to play next in D&D.
Note, this only applies when I play a support character.
Hey, it could happen. All right, anyway, that's the build for the week. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed creating it. I had a blast with this one. So more importantly, I hope you know how much I love you, because I do. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for everything you do for the channel, for me. You're the best. I hope you'll check out the other content that's in the channel if you're not currently in the habit of doing so. But above all, I hope you stay safe and that you be good and kind and happy, and that I see you again really soon. But until then, take care. Bye-bye. I think we are ready. We're ready. Let's do it. Let's not wait till the water runs dry. We might watch our whole lives pass us by. Let's not wait till the water runs dry and make the biggest mistake of our lives. Don't do it, baby. Doodle-doodle-doo, doodle-doo. I'm not actually the world's biggest Boys to Men fan, but my wife is. And she took me to see him playing with the symphony a month ago, and I'll tell you what, it was a good show. I'm not gonna lie. I'm thirsty. But yeah. Well, no, don't say that. Clouds, then sun, then clouds. It's really messing up my lighting here. I've kind of done that build I've kind of gone as an oath of the, and this is, and you have this, and you have animated, and you have, what am I trying to say?